In part 1 we looked at the repair and restoration of a 1961 Imperial Good Companion Model 6 typewriter. I'll put a link to that video in the description. In this video we'll have a look around the machine in its restored form. So, having repaired the typewriter itself and stitched up the worst bits of the bag, I think it's finally time for the big reveal. So here goes. One 1961 Imperial Good Companion typewriter, model number 6. I even have the original guarantee. I wonder if I can still claim on that. There's a couple of buttons, one each side, that unclip the typewriter from the bag, so you can take it away from the bag and sit it by itself, like that. So I think it's time to put a bit of paper in the typewriter and try it out. Here goes, and we've got a backing sheet in here as well, because you always want to run a backing sheet so you don't damage the roller. Okay, here goes, bit of two-finger typing coming up. Works like a dream. I'm sure most of you will be fairly familiar with how the typewriter works, but we'll have a quick look over the controls anyway. You've got a shift key to select the uppercase characters, or in the case of the numbers, you've got symbols as the uppercase. You've got a shift lock here, which locks it in the shift position, and you press the lower button and it releases that. The shift key is repeated on the right here. The lever here changes the ink colour with the ribbon. In my case I've only got a single colour ribbon, so it would be black or black, but if you've got a black and red ribbon you'd have black in the bottom position and red at the top. In the middle is the stencil cutting setting. This would be used for cutting Gestetner stencils for duplicating. I might show that in a future video, but not right now. Over on the right here you've got a backspace button, so if I put a few spaces in you can then press that and skip one space back at a time. If you've got your margins set, when you get to the end of the line and the bell rings, and we'll get there in a second, you can't type any further, but say you're one character away from finishing a word, you can press that button and it'll allow you to go beyond your preset margin. Just having another look at the ribbon itself, if I'd got a two-colour ribbon in, the bottom half would be red and the top half would be black. If I type a character with it on the black setting in the selector switch, you'll see the ribbon moves up just a little bit, so the actual hammer strikes on the black part. If I put the switch into the red position, you'll see that the ribbon moves up all the way, so it would strike on the red part. And if I put it into stencil cutting section, the ribbon doesn't move at all. The actual hammers on the typewriter that have the letters on them have 2 characters per hammer. The bottom one will strike the roller normally when the shift key isn't depressed, so if I press the letter H, we'll get a lowercase h. If I press the shift key, you'll see the whole roller moves up, and so now when I strike the key, it'll actually line up with the upper part of the hammer, and I'll get a capital H. Looking at the right hand side of the machine, this is one of the buttons that releases the typewriter from the case, and this little button here reverses the direction of the printer ribbon. It will auto reverse, so you shouldn't really have to mess with that on the whole. You can adjust the paper position with this roller here. If you move this lever here, it releases the paper guides, so you can position the paper to square it up when you've inserted. The lever here allows you to move the carriage without engaging in the ratchet. And finally this lever here lifts up the upper roller guides, but the paper is still held in the lower roller guides. Looking at the other side, you've got the other case release button here. You've got a little lever down here that is a transportation lock. If I move that to that position and just shift the carriage across a bit, it'll latch onto that so the carriage can't possibly move when you're transporting the typewriter. You've got the carriage return lever here, which is foldable so it fits in the case. And if I move that across, the carriage returns, and you've got a little selector down here that will select between 1, 2 or 3 line spacing. Looking at the back, you've got your paper alignment guide here, so you can always make sure you get the paper aligned in the same position. And then you've got your margins here and here, which are adjustable. There's also a pull-out paper guide here if you need it to stop the paper flopping down at the back. This section lifts up so you can change the ribbon. You've got the reel here and here, and it gives you good access to the hammers themselves. That covers most of the parts of the typewriter, so now let's get on with a bit of typing.
Started when the shot rang out across the lit park. It wasn't me, but I saw her shadow fall down amongst the leaves as the figure departed. Stumbling blindly through the traffic, rain coming in through the tail of the jacket, choking on the fumes coming out of the gloom. This place should have a warning on the side of the packet. Out! I've gotta get out of here. Try to run from the pain, but the shackles and chains keep binding me. I can't get out from the pain right now. I'm pushed into strange religion. I'm trapped inside a world of creation. This matters I see are a fallacy.
That's about all for this video. If you've enjoyed watching, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There'll be more vintage stuff and repairs coming soon. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.